Okay, well, we're going to start on this Phoenix that I cut the pins out of on the CNC router. And you got the pins here that's been cut out, not sanded, but we can use them for measurements this morning. So, burnout engine that I use to set the height of this push plate so that it would be just a little bit past it. And now I've got it marked for the fins, and I'm going to go and pull one of these fins out. I'll take these and sand them later. Now, that router does a good job cutting out fins. And I've named this route the Phoenix. Not after Arizona, but the mythical bird, the Phoenix. And then I mullet. I 3D printed these things. I quit using the bands. I made a rocket shorter and lighter. On the other one I used 1/16 inch fins. I don't know how that's going to work. I suspect they're going to be maybe a little weak on landing. My problem is I ain't had any landings. Everything has taken off, did a left turn, and headed to Albuquerque, and never to be seen again. So I really don't care what it looks like. It's a one flight deal. And kind of getting an attitude about it. So anyway, you got the stop plate in here with a attachment point for the upper section, and we got the bottom piece in there. These will be the next two pieces that go in. They were cut on the CNC machine as well. They were cut out of this MDF, which is some nasty, nasty stuff. Makes a horrible mess. So what I'm going to do now, if I ever find my stuff, it's getting to be a major problem for me, is I'm going to extend these lines. So they're all marked on the same 3/8 fin deal. So I'm just going to extend these lines just like that. And this one. And of course, if this was going to be painted, I would not have used ink for that marker. I would use pencil. And I wouldn't be putting the entire line in. I would just put the part I need. So I'm going to go ahead now and put the center line for the two rail standoffs, and we'll just put a line right up the middle of the rocket there. This is a handy device made by STs. So my goal now is on these lines, trying to find out, and I get this camera turned down a little bit where you can see what I'm working on. There we go. Sweet, sweet mullet. So this is the orientation the rocket the fins will be mounted in, and we're going to mount the square piece right here, right even with the back of it. So what I need to know is where to cut the slot. And I will cut the slot a little bit bigger than the tab. Now that's that. Come around to the next one. Put the fin where we want it, and the mark where the slot is. This is more easier than doing it by measuring it and then transferring the measurements. And this is real world. This is where it's at, and since this was cut out on a CNC router, they're all in the same spot. They're not any variations in that tab. And what'll happen is when I cut out the slots, the pin obviously is not going to fit over that, so there will be a slot cut in the pin with a scroll saw. Now later, when I get a little better using FreeCAD to design stuff, I will put the slot in the pin itself as part of the CNC router deal. Right now, it's kind of on the well, coughing up a frog, yeah. Limited with the easel was just drawing straight lines, or lines without this tab in there. I suppose I could have done it, but I want to do it on FreeCAD, not FreeCAD. I don't have a cab. There's no yellow cab here. CAD, C-A-D. My biggest problem is learn how to talk, right? No, that's not my biggest problem. So I don't get a little estimated width here. It won't be accurate, but it'll be pretty close. This is just an opening in the body tube. The length of this thing, and that's 1/4 of an inch, because that's 1/4 inch, 6.35 millimeters. In case you didn't know that 1/4 inch was 6.35, and probably some other fraction of a millimeter. I don't remember what it is. And that's a little wide. I'm going to come in just a little bit. Now we're just marking off where these slots will be cut. And I'm going to use my executive power here to guesstimate where this is going to be. It's going to be right there. If it ain't there, it should be there. Get this thing out of the way. And my buddy over at Rotary Rockets, he uses a spiral cut bit in his drill press, which works good. Drill a hole, and you start with a spiral cut bit and just come right up the thing. My problem with that is it leaves a really jagged edge that then has to be dealt with. So instead of a spiral cut, this is a straight cut, called a Stanley utility knife. And that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to cut that slot out, make sure I'm cutting it out the right end. So I'm just going to start here where this is, and I'll come down, cut across, and then flip it up and cut it off at the top. I really can't see it if it was pointed right at the camera, so you just have to know what I'm doing here. It's called use your imagination. If you have one, if you don't, well, that's your problem. Okay, so we got the first cut in there. Now I'm going to put the second cut in there, and I should never make a video early in the morning where it sounds like just escaped from the TB sanatorium. Alright, so we got two parallel cuts, more or less. Mostly less, but more or less. And now I'm going to cut the radial part out. And we'll get that turned loose there. Nice little bit holding on. And I'm going to flip that thing backwards. I swear, what I need to do, I'm going to clean this mess up. And then I come right in here at the bottom of it and just snip him off. Nip it in the bud. Barney Fife used to say. And then we'll check it and see if I can get this down to there, which I can't. So I'm going to have to bring it down just a little bit more. Just a tad. Get that to stand up. Nip it off. Now my goal is to get this fin to line up on that line right there at the bottom of the rocket. So that'll be my rally point for it. And that'll be, you know, 1/10 of a millimeter this way, that way, the other don't really matter. What does matter is that the fin stands perpendicular to the tube and straight away from it and in the same plane as the tube, so it's not either bent over or cocked up flush. Where the glue can grab hold of it, up here. And then, like I said, these are 3D printed things, and right where the tab is, this will go like that. It'd be screwed, definitely glued, possibly screwed to the fin. I don't know. Glue seems to work about as much as the glue point here to the fin is going to be stronger than the glue point to this paper tube. So I may just glue it. I may put one screw in it just to make myself happy. But that is the external securement of the fin. The internal securement of the fin is going to be slots cut into this ring that's going to go in there next. And then there'll be another ring at the very back of the rocket. This one will be pretty much centered on that tab. The last one will be at the exit where the motor will mount. So that's the plan. I'm going to take these fins over there and go sand off all this raggedy looking mess that bit left and things like that, so that it'll clean them up and they look decent. When they're hanging in a tree, lost in the woods, you know, I want them not to be an embarrassment. I want people to say, hey, look at that fine looking rocket hanging there. And so far, that's all I've been. 4 rockets exploded, and that's a story of its own. And 4 rockets lost by doing a figure 7 flight, which is up and over. And my little field just got to be straight up, straight down, with no wind. I got some monster trees and 2 ponds and neighbors to avoid. So things could be better. I actually talked to some people about coming in and harvesting these trees and getting them out of my way and clearing up the land a little bit. Now they'll just pop right out. I love this 1/4 inch birch. And a lot of people say it's nasty. Well, and they think it's nasty, or try cutting some of this MDF. Talking about nasty, raggedy cuts. And it seems to me no matter what kind of bit I use, I wind up with the same mess. Okay, I'm going to stop it there and go sand these things, and then we'll glue this this first fin in. Now the other device is hiding out again from me. Sorry about that. A raggedy morning started here too. This is another alignment tool for the fin to make sure it does what I said it was supposed to do, which just this slides right up over the fin as it's being glued in, and it keeps it perpendicular to the body tube as this glue dries. And I'm really liking this Type Bond 2 wood glue. It is thin to the point it will get into areas that other glue won't. For that I used this Gorilla Glue, which is good wood glue, but it's terrible about thickening up in the bottle. So, and you throw away about as much as you use. So I've switched over to tight bond, which I like a whole lot better. So there the fin is sitting pretty. Now I'll come in here after I get the fins mounted. I'll come in here and glue the top of that ring to make sure that engine can't push it out or the parachute jerk it out. So I like the MDF for that, and they're not good for fins. It's just, they're just too heavy and too nasty. They even stink to me. Okay. So I'll come back after I get the fins sanded and we'll glue the first one on there and let it start drying.